Let's talk Browns.
Let's do it.
Because Browns training camp started today, and already there are plenty of storylines making their way out of Berea. We kicked off strong. There's a QB battle, as we know, that we're keeping our eyes on. I definitely want to hear your opinions on that. The pup list is something interesting to touch on. Some notables there that we expected. Obviously, we got the helmet reveal, which we already touched on. Big news still, though, in that Quinshon Judkins is one of just two NFL players, rookies specifically, that have not signed. The other being the Cincinnati Bengal, who is in contract disputes. Not great. Not sure what's going to happen there. Um,
Send his ass back to A&M and make Tim Lyons mad in the chat. That's where I'm at.
did I see correctly too that Njoku and Jordan Hicks were excused today for some reason?
Yeah, so Jordan Hicks and Njoku were excused for personal reasons, and when it's personal reasons, they don't have to say unless Njoku and Hicks wants them to say. So I don't know exactly what that's all about. I'm assuming it's nothing major. Normally, when it's personal reasons, it's something to do with family or something like that. So I'm not reading too far into that. The thing that I'm looking a little bit more into is the fact that Jerome Ford didn't practice today, and the fact that one Mike Hall Jr. went on the pup list with one Deshaun Watson. So, Erik, tell me, which one do you want me to dig into first? Mike Hall, Jerome
Uh,
Ford?
let's stick into Jerome Ford because obviously we have a problem at running back right now.
Yeah, so it isn't seeming like it's anything crazy. He was there. It seemed like he was just off on the side of the practice because of a minor injury, whether that be a hamstring tweak, whether that be something like that. So Jerome Ford, I'm not super worried about. It was the first open day of camp. He could have went out there yesterday, cut wrong. Well,
Right.
they've been there since Monday, so he could have went out there Monday, cut wrong, and pulled his hamstring a little bit and was taking a little time off.
Yeah, you mentioned too that, or I mentioned rather, of course, Quinshon Judkins. I thought it was interesting that Stefanski did speak on the matter for the first time today. He didn't have a ton to say, but he did mention that they're taking the situation seriously, or that they're not taking it lightly, rather. Um, he said, in quote, "I would tell you again, this is something I take very seriously. We take very seriously. It's not something that we want to be a part of. We want to be shining the light on the good things that our guys are doing in this community. Having said that, I do know the league mandates a certain amount of education in all areas, certainly in this area, and we decide to go above and beyond that, and we will continue to do that. And if there's more ways that we can reach players in any area of education, we'll continue to look at that." I thought that was an interesting statement.
Yeah, it is an interesting statement because of all of the mishaps that have happened around the team, for lack of a better term. I don't still blame any of this on the front office or the coaching staff because there was nothing crazy about Judkins coming into the NFL. So why
Mhm.
would they think that that would be an issue? I mean, they were basically giving him the bell cow title already with how they were treating him. So I
Yeah.
think they're as shocked about this as we are as Buckeye Browns fans. Speaking of Buckeyes, with background of, behavioral issues, Mike Hall Jr. was put on the pup list. He obviously went down with a knee injury in the last game of the season last year against the Ravens. People kind of scratch their head a little bit. It was an MCL, so maybe he's just on the way back. There's a couple headlines I want to get into. I want to shout out Quincy Carrier. He did a video talking about pup, talking about the injury news this morning. Go check that video out. It's called Browns Training Camp Injury Updates. He was basically talking about what's going on with Mike Hall. Daniel Ofuse got a quote from Andrew Berry earlier in March saying that he would be ready by training camp, but it was kind of vague how it was said. Was it during training camp? Is it going to be when training camp starts? Who knows? Chris Esterlane, however, inferred that both Watson and Hall would start the season on the pup list following this decision. Now, was he saying that again in kind of like, this is what typically happens? There's a lot of question marks going around with this, especially because the Cleveland Browns have a history of not doing the best with injuries, despite the fact that they fired most of their training staff last year. So there's a lot of questions going on here. That's something I'm going to be personally keeping my eye on is he on the bike? Is he around the team? Is he going to be practicing by this time next week? And this is just one of those things that we're talking about because it's May, or not May, it's July. I don't know what I'm saying, but you get what I'm saying. Do you think it's something to be worried about, or you think it's just one of those training camp headlines?
I think it's just one of those training camp headlines, honestly. I don't see us letting that become a cancer and fester even more than it already has. So I would be kind of shocked. Um, let's get into the quarterback battle, though.
Yeah, let's get into it
So
because there was a lot that went on. Go ahead, E.
there was a lot. So practice opened up with a rotation of, in order, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shador Sanders throwing some drills. And then they went to 7-on-7 work where the veterans stayed together and the rookies stayed together on separate fields. Tell me what you're thinking, though. You had said earlier in the show that you think Shador will be starting by December. Other people keep saying, "Are we going to trade him?" I don't think we are, for the record. But you hear that headline often. So, what did you see, and where do you think that battle's shaping up specifically?
Yeah, so the battle is shaping up how we've always thought it. It's really between Flacco and Pickett right now, with the door kind of creaked open in terms of maybe one of these rookies, if they really impress, like a Dak did back in the day, or a Russell Wilson did, or a Brock Purdy did, what have you, to come in and take the job. So putting that to the side for a second, it's between Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. They want to see who they want to have be the week one starter when we play Cincinnati here on the lakefront.
It's
And
Flacco,
that's
by the way, period. I think he has a first round bye here, and there is no competition.
Well, and that's a great transition to go to the fact that Flacco took none of the 11 on 11 reps today. It was Pickett, Sanders, and Gabriel. Uh, Sanders on his first one out went 1 for 6. We won't talk about that as a Sanders fanboy, but I also have to be fair and say that there was a couple plays that you got to see a Gabriel, a kind of weird thrown deep ball where it was behind the receiver, but he was wide open, so he got a touchdown. Um, they all looked decent from all the clips that I can see. Obviously, we weren't there, so I can't report on it that way. But I still just see this shaking out the same way that I've been seeing it shake out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a battle for the number two position right now, and I think that's what we're seeing at camp. Joe Flacco will be the week one starter, barring something crazy like an ACL tear. He will be your starter. I think that's been pretty clear at this point. Like you said, though, Sanders had a really inconsistent day. He just didn't seem to be seeing the field that well. And he was late on a lot of the throws. That's obviously concerning. Concerning in the sense that there's so much hype surrounding, right? Not concerning in the sense that we picked him up so late. Like if he doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal. But I think from a media hype train, we want the kid to work out, and he's putting the work in. Obviously, there's a lot that needs to unfold. Did you see that play though by Gabriel today, who ran? He was doing 11 on 11 work, and he booted to the left with receivers running to the same direction, but he stops and throws back to his right to
I did
Gage. Did
see
you see
that.
that?
No, I didn't. Why
Uh,
do you ask?
it was the play of the day, I think, and he's showing more progression, in my opinion, than Shador at this point.
It's interesting. I don't know. It's way too early for me to stake a claim on any of that. Today was the first open practice. We were talking OTAs and mandatory minicamp before that. I'm really excited to get myself there and get potentially yourself there and watch some of this with my own eyes and get my own takes and my own thoughts. At the end of the day, practice is practice. We're going to continue to be able to break down this.
Practice,
Right. We'll
in
be
Allen
able to
Iverson's words.
Right. We'll be able to break down this situation a little bit better come these preseason games and what is going on. I still firmly plant my flag on the Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett
Mhm.
situation because we haven't heard enough from either of these guys, and it's still too early. Training camp with the whole team started 3 days ago. Get excited. Be happy football's back. Let's pump the brakes and just keep talking about what's going on. Let's not think Shador for QB1 or Gabriel for QB1 or whatever right now. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit.
By the way, did you see Luke Floria? Uh, anything with him today?
You're talking about the wide receiver from Kent, correct?
Undrafted rookie. Yep.
Yep. So the guy we covered a couple weeks ago. Yeah, there was a touchdown pass to him, I believe, from Shador that came out a couple days ago. That is the biggest highlight I've seen. Are you referring to something that I didn't see, or you were just asking out of pure curiosity?
No, he looked really good today. He impressed to the point where he was linking up with Dillon Gabriel pretty much all day in those 7-on-7s and made a few nice catches. So somebody that with a wide receiver room that lacks quite a bit of experience right now, he could find himself in the mix for a spot, in my opinion.
No, he could for sure, especially because of the lack of talent in the wide receiver room. I still keep my eyes out for a preseason darling and Michael Woods and Jamari Thrash as well, one of the wide receivers we took in last year's draft from Louisville. There's a lot of great storylines to pay attention to during Brown's training camp. That's why I wish we were on Hard Knocks this year, because not only as a fan of the Cleveland Browns, I think it would have been a great story with all the different media hoopla that's going on with the team right now. Hell, we could have been watching a Hard Knocks episode here in about 2 weeks about the guy falling in the lake. We could go right back to that.
I'm with you. I wish we could. Let me ask you one more thing regarding training camp,
For
and
sure.
that revolves around. Well, let you tell me of all the quotes today that came out from training camp, which player had the most delusional quote?
It was Miles Garrett talking about us going to the Super Bowl this year. And
It
I didn't even know
sure
that quote
was.
was a verbatim. I got the push notification when I was playing my Switch earlier today. And I was like, Super Bowl Browns, nah, I'm going to put my watch back down and pick up the controller again.
I will say I'm impressed that you knew that answer. But yes, he had this to say. He said, I mean, I expect to get to the Super Bowl. That's our expectation every year. I expect to run back to Defensive Player of the Year. So, keeping both of those things in mind, I have to be the very best player I can be every single day, whether we're practicing or playing. As soon as I step in the building, I have to be the best version of myself and the best leader I can possibly be. Couple things to unpack here because I said delusional. I don't think you can say anything else, honestly. I'm giving him grief, but of course you're going to have lofty expectations. I will say, though, that he hits upon two things. Um, First of all, yeah, Tim, money will do that to you. It changes your opinion real quick. You want to change my opinion on literally anything, throw $100 million at me. I'll give you whatever opinion you want. Um, but there's twofold from this quote that I want to talk about. The first is the fact that the expectations for the Cleveland Browns are incredibly low. You know, take what Miles said with a grain of salt. Nobody expects this team to do very well this year. Putting them under 3 wins in some cases. That one guy, I think for 92-3, was it, had them at 1 win, which is frankly ridiculous in my opinion. I think the NFL's sleeping on the Browns a little bit.
You've been on this train of the NFL is sleeping on the Browns a little bit, and I'm just of the train of they're going to be like kind of mid. We got to figure out what's going on with the quarterback situation. Having four
For
separate
sure.
quarterbacks uh, prior to what happened in seasons past for the Browns does not typically work out well for a team. And I
Y-
think we're going
You
to
know what
see all.
else there's
Go ahead.
four of, Noah?
What?
Quarters. Let's just throw one in each quarter. I'm
That's
being
so.
facetious, obviously, but
I was gonna say, have you ever heard the if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks? That's exactly where I'm at right now. Do I think they're gonna overperform the expectation of like 3, 4, 5 wins? Probably, but I don't think they're gonna be much higher than that at the same time. I've been in the 6 to 8 win camp since I don't know, even before the draft, and now with the draft, I'm the same exact place. Honestly, I'm in the same exact place.
every single talking head has them barely winning any games. I'm going to make a bold statement here. I want you to mark down on July 23rd at approximately 9:45 Eastern Standard Time. I think they'll be pushing for a wild card spot. I know that's crazy,
So
But
you're
I
gonna
think
start the top. Wait. I'll let you finish your take in a second. You were
okay.
going to start the topic with delusion and coming at Miles Garrett, a player on the team who is
Mhm.
supposed to say we're competing for a Super Bowl, and end the segment, end this portion of the segment, I should say, with the Browns are going to the wild card and their over unders at like 4 wins right now.
Well, I think they'll lose that wild card game, so Super Bowl still is delusional. But yeah, listen, I think we have an elite defense. I think that the new offensive coordinator is going to pan out really well. I'm just throwing it out there. You'll call me a genius if this is the case. Um, if it's not, then you know what? I made another bad opinion. That's no big deal. Uh, but you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. I put my Tim, you're gonna owe me dumplings anyway. I forget what our bet is, but I wrote it down.
It was like
Uh
over 5 wins or something like that. It was something minuscule in your mind and a mountain
yeah.
in most other people's minds. Listen, I've been saying this since you've been on the Browns hype train, I guess you could call it. That I hope you're right, but I don't think you're right, man.
So I said there were two parts of that statement though. That was the first part. The second part has to do with leadership. Um I don't think Miles is he's not the type that just has empty words in my experience anyway. I think he is putting the team on his shoulders a little bit and I welcome it. I know it was thrown out there by the Haslams that he should be doing that. We had those conversations whether or not he should be a leader. John obviously highly disagrees, but it looks like he is taking that mantle up a little bit and trying to be the example in that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's right. He doesn't have to be a leader. I'm kind of in the in between of that. I don't think he's ever shown to be a leader, but if he's a leader this year, I think that's great, especially with the amount of talent that he has.